This is QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studio on Caraba Avenue. I'm Amudu Gajaga and thank you for joining us. First, here are the main news headlines. The Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources hosted a pre-COP29 meeting for the Gambian delegation to discuss key issues and strategies in preparation for the event to be held in Baku, Azerbaijan this month. ActionAid International, the Gambia, held its 13th annual general meeting on Saturday to review the organization's activities over the past year. Gaira Laming, the treasurer of the Gambia Organization for the Visually Impaired GOVI, has emphasized the urgent need for both government and private sectors to create more employment opportunities for the visually impaired people. The Directorate of Health Promotion and Education under the Ministry of Health held a day-long orientation on hygiene promotion on Friday for over 40 adolescent peer health educators within the KMC. And in sports news, following an inspection by a CAF official, the Gambia's Independence Stadium has not been approved to host international matches. Those were the news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. The Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources hosted a pre-COP29 meeting for the Gambian delegation to discuss key issues and strategies in preparation for the event to be held in Baku, Azerbaijan from November 11th to 22nd, 2024. Julien Jai attended the event and she now reports.
The pre-COP meeting brought together a diverse array of stakeholders, including government representatives, international organizations, civil society, media, and the private sector. The discussion centered on critical topics, including national preparations for high-level meetings, the path forward for the Gambia ahead of COP29, climate finance, transparency, adaptation and resilient building, energy transition, and reducing carbon footprints, as well as UN climate change conference processes and the code of conduct. Evelyn Etroma, the UNDP Deputy Resident Representative, says the gathering reflects the Gambia's steadfast commitment to tackling the urgent challenges of climate change and securing a sustainable future.
The Gambia's position in COP29: 1. A shift in public and private finance and reform of the global finance architecture to keep 1.5 degrees Celsius within reach and simultaneously achieve the Sustainable Development Goals which we advance in UNDP. The international community to unite and invest to achieve the Paris Agreement goals by collectively committing to bold investments in climate change and development, particularly in developing countries. 3. All countries to set up and put forward ambitious new nationally determined contributions by 2025. And 4, to provide climate justice for all.
Currently, at least 177 Gambia-based participants are registered for COP29, with 41% representing the public sector and 59% from civil society organizations, including NGOs. Rohi John Manjang, the Gambia's Minister for Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, extends her best wishes to the Gambian delegation as they prepare for this challenging yet rewarding conference.
So I want to tell you that let us prepare our minds. It's not fun, it's real work. When you really want to engage, you really want to attend negotiation, you really want to learn, it's real work. So be prepared to do your best.
Minister Manjang expressed gratitude to the partners who have supported the process, highlighting that Gambia boasts one of the most responsive, nationally determined contributions (NDCs) in terms of mitigating climate change and reducing its carbon footprints.
We look forward to make sure that the team work towards meeting the agenda under the Gambia. It's a global attack. Climate mitigation, climate actions is for the entire world. It's not only the Gambia. But we have a component that we vow to achieve. So therefore, it's important that we work, all of us together, to achieving that goal. You are the ambassadors of the Gambia. So therefore, we look forward to us maintaining our manners.
Key topics at COP29 will include transition into clean energy, prioritizing nature, and supporting people's lives and livelihoods, as well as delivering on climate finance while promoting inclusivity in the process. For QTV News, I am Julie Ndiaye.
ActionAid International The Gambia held its 13th annual general meeting on Saturday, bringing together various stakeholders, partners, and community representatives to review the organization's activities over the past year. Usman Jatta attended the event at the ActionAid headquarters in Kanifing, and he now reports.
For nearly 3 decades, ActionAid International The Gambia has been dedicated to promoting social justice, gender equality, and poverty eradication in the country. To achieve its mission, the NGO empowers marginalized and impoverished communities to assert their human rights, demand public services, and live with dignity. As the year draws to a close, the 13th General Meeting provides an opportunity for the organization to review and reflect on its operations. Hadi Dande Jabe is the outgoing board chair of ActionAid International The Gambia.
Global political tensions, such as the Russia-Ukraine war and now the new Gaza war, and the regional instability continue to derail our efforts on the provision of social economic interventions to improve life and livelihoods of people living with poverty. This has continued to affect our resource mobilization efforts as institutional funding partners shift attention to global economic, geographical, and security challenges. However, the management under the dynamic leadership of the Executive Director are doing its best to strengthen our resource mobilization capacity to improve our funding profile, albeit the challenges of the environment.
The meeting included a series of presentations, the appointment of external auditors, and outlining a clear vision for the coming year, focused on combating poverty, enhancing education, and promoting gender equality. Fafa Ocham is the head of programs and policy at ActionAid International The Gambia.
You know, Gambia is a very patriarchal society in which it's unfortunate, but women particularly are very much marginalized when it comes to certain things. Take an example of agriculture. Women are the main producers of food in this country, but when it comes to land ownership, you realize that they own only 10% of, or even less of the land. So these are, of course, the activities that ActionAid would now would engage on to support or to ensure that these people that are not that are very marginalized, we support them and then form movements so that they can campaign for their rights.
ActionAid The Gambia continues to inspire hope and drive action, solidifying its position as a crucial contributor to the nation's development landscape. This human rights-based organization collaborates with both local and international partners to achieve its goals. Maria Da Costa, a board member of ActionAid The Gambia, highlights some of the organization's key achievements.
You have communities who can call upon, organize what you may refer to as a bantaba, and have the duty bearers there. It's the lawmakers, it's the area council and others, and put them to task. Question them to give them back feedback as to what they are doing with their resources.
With renewed energy and a clear vision for the year ahead, ActionAid The Gambia remains a source of inspiration and action, reinforcing its crucial role in the nation's development landscape. Osman Chata, reporting for QTV News.
Gaira Lamin, the treasurer of the Gambia Organization for the Visually Impaired, GOVI, has emphasized the urgent need for both government and private sectors to create more employment opportunities for the visually impaired people. He made this call to action during an interview with QTV's Ansumane Sonyasi. Here is that interview.
Living with sight loss or low vision presents significant challenges, especially in a developing country like the Gambia, where resources and opportunities for people with disabilities are often scarce. While there have been notable improvements in the educational landscape, such as the provision of white canes and braille materials by the government, Gaira Lamin insists that more needs to be done, particularly in the provision of accessible educational resources.
We have access to education. That is to say, during those days, we hardly got this access I mean, it was an opportunity rather. I mean, because most of the time, well, if you integrate somebody into mainstream school, the headmasters during those days, they will tell you, oh, no, I don't think he or she can be here. Those persons were not given the opportunity during those days. But now there is policy.
One of the most pressing issues for persons with disabilities in the Gambia is the severe lack of employment opportunities. Many visually impaired individuals find themselves limited to teaching roles, predominantly working with visually impaired children, which highlights a stark disparity in professional opportunities. Mr. Lamin challenges both government agencies and the private sector to actively consider employing skilled visually impaired individuals, arguing that some have the competence to perform at any given job.
We have at the judicial level also, we have some visually impaired persons are employed at the judicial level. And then, but then in other private sectors or different sector of employment, we are yet to be engaged because people are not aware, and then I think private sectors also are not encouraging, blind and visually impaired persons.
Visually impaired people confront a myriad of challenges in their everyday lives, which can greatly impede their independence and ability to engage with society. These hurdles include difficulties with mobility, particularly in unfamiliar or crowded environments, identifying obstacles, and accessing public transportation, making it exceedingly challenging for them to navigate their surroundings.
And their movement also is another problem. That is, many a time, most of these people, they create, water space to pass through their fences. This dirty, stagnant water, is affecting us because, many a time we put on our nice shoes and so on and so forth. All of a sudden, we enter into dirty water. So these are things that are not, and also vehicle.
Mr. Lamin stresses the importance of inclusivity, advocating that persons with disabilities, especially the visually impaired, should be integrated into all sectors of society to ensure they can contribute meaningfully to national development. Antoine Nyase for KTV News.
We'll now go for a commercial break, and when we return, we'll still have some more local and sports news stories. Do stay tuned.
Welcome to the future of transportation in the Gambia. The Bertel Harding Highway, a 22-kilometer double carriageway, is set to revolutionize travel and connectivity in our beloved country. A 3-lane highway means more space for vehicles, smoother traffic flow, and reduced congestion. Each lane has a specific purpose. The leftmost lane for overtaking and faster vehicles, the middle lane for standard driving, and the rightmost lane for slower and turning vehicles.
Welcome back, and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. The Directorate of Health Promotion and Education under the Ministry of Health, with funding from the West Africa Health Organization WAHO, held a day-long orientation on hygiene promotion on Friday for over 40 adolescent peer health educators within the Kanifing municipality. Loli M. Kamara attended, and she now reports.
The orientation, which is part of the ministry's effort to combat preventable diseases in the Gambia, focused on empowering these adolescents and young girls with effective hygiene education strategies to help influence change and improve lives. Close to 50 participants attended this session, which focused on equipping them with resources and training to promote hygiene practices such as proper hand washing, safe water storage, proper environmental hygiene, and menstrual hygiene, amongst other things. Michael Mangamendi, the Director of the Health Promotion and Education Directorate at the Ministry of Health, reminded the students and their teachers that the battle for better hygiene is far from over. Thus, their roles are crucial in the fight.
The conditions and practices that promote and preserve our own health is a big challenge in the country here. And we found it very necessary to raise awareness among the different targets, groups of our society.
WAHO, a major partner in this initiative, continues to invest heavily in health promotion across West Africa, recognizing hygiene education as a fundamental building block in reducing the prevalence of infectious diseases. Bakari Sise, the Director of Regional Education Region 1, encouraged educators to take their newfound knowledge and skills back to their respective communities where they can continue to make a meaningful impact on public health.
As peer health educators, you are specifically targeted by your own membership. Peer health educators, you educate your peers. So the knowledge, the skills, the information that you will get here, we expect you to carry it on to your peers, and they also will carry it on to their peers, and it goes like that until the whole nation is covered.
The session also featured case studies and open discussions, providing a platform for peer health educators from different schools to share knowledge about hygiene promotion. Binet Senghor Mendy at St. Joseph and Sadibu G. Gomez, student of Bakote Senior Secondary School, both peer health educators, expressed optimism about the training and their next step.
My lesson for my fellow students is I want them to listen carefully so that they will be aware about what is happening in their surrounding.
Well, my expectation is that by the end of this session, I will know what peer health is, and I will learn a lot that I'll be able to pass down to my colleagues at school.
It is hoped that the participants will return to their respective schools at the end of the training with the energy and commitment to promote hygiene among their peers. For QTV News, Loli M. Kamara.
The ECOWAS National Office and the Directorate of Regional Integration under the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment through its social outreach program held a sensitization session on regional integration at the University of the Gambia on Wednesday. Amadou Tamba has the details.
The program, which brought together students under the Business and Public Administration at the University of the Gambia, aims to raise students' awareness of regional integration, ECOWAS protocols, and African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. Topics including the role of the sub-regional bloc, ECOWAS on national office and integration, African Continental Free Trade Area, amongst others, were discussed. Yunus Ambai, the Vice President of the University of the Gambia Students' Union, acknowledges the importance of having such an event.
Regional integration is very important because nations within a region must integrate, must come together in like different nationalities in areas of trade, in areas of security, resource mobilization, and promotion of employment within the sub-region. ECOWAS is a sub-regional body that is responsible for promoting trade, industry, security, and peace in West Africa.
Musa Sawane, a principal economist at the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration, and Employment, stated the reasons and concepts that will motivate investors to invest in a country.
Investors go to countries for three reasons. One, if that country is efficient. I don't know if Gambia is efficient, I don't know. Two, if that country is resource bound. If that country is bound with resources. I'm not sure if we have that resources. And three, the market size of that country. We don't have market, so we are just 1 point, now we are 2.4 according to GBOS. So we do not have market for investors. The only way we can get market for investors is to tell investors that, look, come, we are now part of ECOWAS, a market of 400 million people.
Aminata Dibasi, a senior economist at the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment, gave an overview of regional integration.
A country can be in the European Union and other country in the African continent coming together to have an agreement to move goods and services. So that it has gone beyond just being in the same geographical area. So because of the world is moving. Yeah, but the initial, because since it started, the whole concept started as a regional, people in the same geographical region coming together. That's why I still have the name regional integration, but it has gone beyond just being in the same geographical area.
Ismaila Sedi, also a senior economist at the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment, engaged the students on the role of ECOWAS National Office and ECOWAS integration.
It's basically to promote trade, economic integration between the member states. But however, along the way, the authority of heads of states, the presidents, the then presidents, including our first president, Sadauda, they also realized that, economic integration, promotion of trade cannot be achieved if there is no peace and stability in the region.
An integrated Africa is fundamental to the continent attaining the desired goals of easy transportation of goods and services, as well as the attainment of the African Union's Africa We Want Agenda 2063. For QTV News, Amadou Tamba.
Now, coming up next is sports news. Gambian football fans are experiencing a sense of deflation on receiving the news that the Independence Stadium has not been approved to host international matches. This follows an inspection by a CAF official. A letter seen by QTV indicates that the pitch does not meet the standards required. More in this report. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, has not approved the Independence Stadium after a 2-day inspection of the facility. This decision means Gambia's scheduled AFCON qualifier against Comoros on the 15th of November 2024 will not be played at the renovated stadium. The letter sent to the Gambia Football Federation and included in a press release reads, in a letter, CAF stated, following CAF's inspection of the Independence Stadium on October 31st, 2024, we would like to commend the Government of the Gambia Football Federation GFF, and the stadium management for a significant improvement across various areas of the facility, including dressing rooms, spectator stands, media zones, hospitality services, and other key structural elements. These enhancements represent a positive step forward in aligning with CAF and FIFA standards. However, we must emphasize that the overall condition of the field of play requires significant improvements to meet the standards necessary for hosting Category 3 CAF or FIFA matches. Due to the current quality of the playing field, CAF is unable to approve the stadium for the upcoming match between Gambia and Comoros during March Day 5 of the AFCON qualifiers for Morocco 2025. The long wait to play at the Independence Stadium goes on for Gambians. March 2025 is when the Gambia has another scheduled home game, a World Cup qualifier against Kenya. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News. Now, before we end this news bulletin, here's a recap of our main news headlines. The Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources hosted a pre-COP29 meeting for the Gambian delegation to discuss key issues and strategies in preparation for the event to be held in Baku, Azerbaijan this month. ActionAid International The Gambia held its 13th annual general meeting on Saturday to review the organization's activities over the past year. Gaira Lamin, the treasurer of the Gambia Organization for the Visually Impaired, GOVI, has emphasized the urgent need for both government and private sectors to create more employment opportunities for the visually impaired people. The Directorate of Health Promotion and Education under the Ministry of Health held a day-long orientation on hygiene promotion on Friday for over 40 adolescent peer health educators within the KMC. And in sports news, following an inspection by a CAF official, the Gambia's Independence Stadium has not been approved to host international matches. That's all we have for you in this bulletin of the news. Thank you very much. But join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. for Week in Review with Ade Darame and Momudun Boj. Thank you very much for watching.